For me, it's been about 10 years since I watched that battle, and as it keeps growing and growing. I think the first Death Battle episode I ever watched was Mario vs. Sonic back in 2011. Immediately while the animation it was outdated, I still enjoy it at the end. And luckily as I continue, Death Battle really go on very well, from the gruesome deaths to the fight itself. Ever since back in 2010, Death Battle first episode Boba vs. Samus definitely started the launch of Death Battle. Ever since then, this show has been moving on bigger and bigger, with their sprite animation being looking pretty cool sometimes, with their 3D animation looks freaking amazing sometimes, and heck, they managed to get the 2D animation too, and drawing. But that's my point. Death Battle definitely have a long way with episodes. Although today's review is gonna be talking about all 5 episodes from 2 fighting game series, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. There's no doubt saying about both series. Both are legendary, the most rivalry fighting games of all time, even rivaling to other franchises, and well meaning at same least as say, I don't know, Mario vs. Sonic franchises, 2 mascots of Nintendo and Sega battling each other, or the bigger ones like Godzilla vs. King Kong, 2 kaijus, kind of for King Kong, debating against who is more dominant, and of course Marvel vs. DC, 2 comic companies battling on who is superior in their comics. But to be fair, fighting games in my opinion have been a staple for me, and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter definitely held that for a very long time. And with Tekken, they consider to be the most biggest fighting franchise out there, but I think Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat have been big ones for the best and for the weird, funny, random parodies. Yeah, there's a lot of it. Now, to be fair, while both franchises are currently what the hell is going on lately, especially with their latest games as later year, especially to now, with Street Fighter V having a complete edition. Yes, there is a complete edition about it. And Mortal Kombat 11 managed to wrap up with Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. In other words, mentioning with the companies they're in right now, Capcom and especially Narrow Studios focusing on other games, kinda. But I hope that their rivalry still continue, and it just showed today. In fact, with future Death Battle episodes, especially with the new characters from both franchises, I'm pretty sure both fighting games will never die anytime soon. And that leads to today's episode, the Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat reviews. These are gonna be my reviews of each of the 5 episodes of Death Battle, including the current one, AKUMA vs. Shao Kahn. Keep in mind, I'm only gonna stick with the Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat episodes only, not separate that face of it, not Mortal Kombat or not Street Fighter. So for those who want to see my thoughts about Dora vs. Raiden, Girl vs. Mech-Chan from Season 7, Ryu vs. Jin, or Balrog vs. TJ combo, sorry, but they're not part of this review. With that in mind, let's get started, shall we? With episode 2.
Man, if I ever throw a Hadouken in real life, I'm gonna die happy.
Season 1 of Death Battle was not great, especially looking back. But there's some good things about Death Battle in Season 1. Someone managed to get a go up in the map of YouTube. Heck, even the internet at best. So they introduced some new 3D graphics. And so we regret to ever watching. Like seriously, this is bad. But for AKUMA vs. Shang Tsung was fine. It's not good still, but it's fine. Both analysis for both AKUMA vs. Shang Tsung was expected for 2011 episode, but it's no not great, especially today's modern about them. Although I do like this line they use for Shang Tsung analysis.
You will die.
But however, even then, the animation is pretty outdated. It's worth most mention that during Death Battle's run, at about the first 2 seasons, they have health bars. And it works here, but it still wasn't. The fight was okay. I do like their moments about it, especially Shang Tsung managed to morph to AKUMA, and the battle really got intense with a fight between 2 AKUMAs, and ending with a real one killing out Shang Tsung. There's a lot I could say, but not much to say about it. which it kind of sucks because Kuma vs. TSUNG are my favorite characters, especially to this day. So it sucks that there's more information about these guys and it came out very too early, especially for more Kombat side with, well, MK11, MK9 this time at that year. So as such, yeah, I wish this episode could have been a little more, especially on the side for both characters. I would probably give it a 4 at best. It's the fairest score I could give it, since this was season 1. But about what else, I think it's say no one really remembers about this episode. Even a son and more.
The power is mine! Oh, wait, never mind. Shao Kahn killed me. Now it's his power, I guess.
You weak, pathetic fool.
Shao Kahn vs. M. Bison is definitely much reported the last time we see both franchises fight each other. Keyword improve. The analysis are better, especially in terms of season 2. With better ending, of course. Especially just to talk about their history, especially what power they bring. And how strong both final bosses are. Well, until we get to AKUMA vs. Shao Kahn, but that's for later. I like the joke how the Bison's name is literally different, especially for the American. And I do like the best, especially the best part of the episode. Also the ending clip as well.
Yes, I killed your father. What is it with you women anyway? I killed my father too, and you don't hear me whining about it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I sound like it. But yeah, with that said, the animation is much more better. It's definitely started with Zelda vs. Peach, and the animation definitely very good well up until Tiger vs. Gun the Epion, but that's for a later video. In turn, I like it. I know it's fine. It's better than AKUMA vs. Shang Tsung, but it's still not great, especially to this day. Still, I still like it overall. Way better. Everything's great. I feel like it's wasted. Oh, I got himself knocked out by 3 times of Shao Kahn's strength, however, is still not satisfying. Still, the final death was pretty good. Only just snapping him 2, but that's good, especially sucking his soul out. And for the analysis, I know it's fine. Doesn't make sense, but I still enjoy it. Yeah, while Shao Kahn vs. M. Bison was not great to this day, it's still pretty good. Still, the biggest sin is just how the fight was completely rushed, especially in terms of what we expected. I mean, at least with AKUMA vs. Shao Kahn, there is a lot more fighting and more short time. I'll say that but we'll get to it when we get to that episode. But all else, I think it was pretty good, especially to this day. Might I recommend it? Maybe not. I'll probably give it a 7. Maybe because I am a fan of Mortal Kombat, and I highly recommend those watch it. Other than that, I might as well skip another one.
The Judan Sokutagaru. Hey, we don't have the translation for that one. I'm on it. And diarrhea joke for
Highly underrated. To me, Ryu vs. Scorpion is definitely a lot going for. From the explanation for Ryu's story, from his journey, as well as train in the Asan-Kuken, as well as information for both the Tsunagatsu, and of course, the Power of Nothingness, which is basically our early version of Ultra Instinct before years later. I still enjoy it, especially with the announcement for Ryu. It definitely feels like his journey went on and pretty done well. Same with Scorpion. Yeah, admittedly, well, his story wasn't ending somewhere online, especially the coming out of FKX, but it's still enjoyable, especially the story how he came to fall and then rise again, eventually avenging his family and clan, and knowing that Quan Chi was responsible. Same goes to his ability of powers, and there's a lot of show, especially combining both the live action and video games. And based enough, I do like their moments, especially very silly ones that I can easily remember from. And yeah, and when I silly, I mean silly. No, seriously, there's a lot of clips that even mention a reference, including this one, a skit about cooking with Chef Scorpion. Yes, this is real.
On Cooking with Scorpion. Learn about chopping,
Yeah, I'm not gonna trust anything that guy makes. Does he even eat anymore?
But I think the biggest highlight about this episode is the animation. This is much more high, much very different from the previous episodes of season 2. I'm glad they stick it that way. The fights definitely feel like a smooth pace, especially for a fight game. And as both Scorpion and Ryu go to the nether realm, things go crazy, especially between both battles between fighters, using Scorpion teleportation abilities to, let's face it, evil Ryu's introduction to the fight. It's pretty crazy, especially how much it goes way over the edge, especially when it comes down to the climax between both evil Ryu and Scorpion. Although what kind of kills the fight, in my opinion, is the ending of the fight, which just kind of sucks. Okay, and the ending, Ryu access to his power of nothingness, using a Shinjudoken to incinerate Scorpion, who have already dead, and pretty much that it. Incinerate Ryu in the process. Yep. Oh wait, also he turned on the penguin from his animal mentality from AK2, I think? Yeah, I don't really like the ending. Especially how much we reached the climax, ultimately for a anticlimactic ending. It's just really unsatisfying for me. I mean, at least with Ryu versus Jin, or that fight, determined what you could say who would actually win between both Ryu and Jin, at least with the ending, especially with coming a really great Torian fight scene, it definitely feels like there are a lot of impact, same with Ryu vs Scorpion. And yeah, even great moments, especially with Dark Devil Jin and Ryu. Evil Ryu, in matter of fact. And yeah, the fight is definitely great, especially when they both punch at the same time. And while it's ended with the power of nothingness, it's still much more powerful and cheese hunting at the end. Ryu vs Scorpion does mostly end with a incineration by the guy who already dead before this episode became to be. Yeah, in the end, I still love this episode, but I can admit there are faults with this one. I'd probably give it a 8.5 out of 10. It's definitely the highest score I could give it. I was giving it a 9, but after looking back, there is a little problems I have it, especially with the ending, but I don't mind it. Man, besides the AKUMA vs Shang Tsung, I think this is a pretty good solid review. I wonder what the next episode I could give it a much higher score.
If I could die and come back, it would be as that leotard.
Oh, right. This episode assisted. Alright, let's just get it over with this episode anyways. So, Cammy White versus Sonya Blade. Admittedly, I do not like this episode. Well, I don't think it's the worst episode in Death Battle history, but it's not great. I mean, there's some good things I could say, while the analysis are not bad, it's not great either. Still, there's a lot you could say about it, especially in terms of what you could say about Cammy's analysis. It still have good charm to it, I'll give it that. Especially with moments about her greatness, especially following a Shadow. But I think the biggest one in my opinion about this and the whole entire episode, it's mainly Boomstick pretty much trying to avoid talking about Cammy's assets. No, seriously, it's basically a Ryan gag in this episode. I'm not kidding on that one.
Damn, what an ass! Ah! I know. Take your $5. Still worth it.
Told you couldn't go the whole script without mentioning it.
I don't know, I actually kind of like that joke. But sadly, that's the only thing I could give it. Other than that, Sonya's analysis is pretty bland. I mean, there are some fine moments I could give it, maybe. I do like how they managed to talk about her story from NKX, but that's mostly it. Oh wait, hold on. There's also a joke about Sonya's throne, but that's above it. Other than that, the episode featured game mechanics that's tankly and strengths, but I don't really like that part, especially what makes the characters ruin at best. especially when I get analysis. But hey, maybe the animation could forgive it, right? The animation can be good, right? Right? No, it's not really. Okay, to be fair, well, yeah, this is bad, like real bad. It's also worth mentioning that this episode was the first introduction to the new animator, Louis Cross. Look, I'm not gonna ignore it, but Louis Cross' first animation in the episode, especially the series, was not good, and he is pretty bad, especially with trying to make the sprites to their PNG models. It doesn't look good, especially when we get to the moments of the fight. And even with the death, well, pretty gruesome, I'll give it that, but isn't good, especially with like SONYA squeezing Cammy too tightly. Yeah, and above all else, this is a really bad animation, especially a bad start for an animator. Look, I'm not trying to diss on Louis Cross because he did good animation in the past and current now, especially with the greatest ones like another fighting game episode, especially the 2D animation one that, by the way, he also did that episode. You know, Samurai Jack vs Alpha Samurai. So basically now, Cammy White vs SONYA plays mostly his off day, so I'll give it that. And there's one thing I have criticized for. Why do this episode? I mean, I like Cammy, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel like it should be this matchup for SONYA. At best, the episode, the three-player character I can think of that get able to match with SONYA is Chun-Li. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not like a star, I'll give you that, but it makes sense. Both are first female fighters of their respective series, and still continue onwards. Because you have to think about it, both SONYA and Chun-Li are the first fighting game characters in their respective fighting games, alongside with My Shiranui and Black Orchid, respectively. My point is, this is a matchup I would like to see instead of that one. And I don't hate Cammy, I just feel like it's a missed potential episode, especially how much it's bad with animation and sadly the writing. I give it a 3 out of 10. Well, I don't think the worst episode of all time, especially seeing 3 standards. But all means said, this is a pretty bad episode. Ooh, but to be fair, this was the first Week Cruise episode, so I give it a pass. Now, time for the main attraction of this video. And I've been waiting for this one as well.
Is that your best?
I thought it was funny.
You suck.
Where to start with this episode? Yeah, let's start with a positive note. So, AKUMA vs. SHANG. One for me. And to be perfectly honest, this is one of the most requested episodes I want to see in Death Battle. I'm not kidding. I actually want to see this episode happen. It's also a long list I have for matches I personally want to see at Death Battle. To show my start, Leonard vs. Red Ranger, Jason to be accurate, is one of my favorite matchups at Death Battle, and I'm glad the match will be portrayed here. It's also a good scene with Shadow Hedgehog vs. Ruko Matoya from Kill la Kill. It's actually pretty well to see Shadow gain a third time, especially a matchup I personally want to see. Well, not perfect, but I do enjoy it. And the same goes with Batman vs. Iron Man. I actually kind of enjoyed that episode. Yeah, there's some problems, especially with the Hellbat armor and the most powerful Iron Man suit, but I still enjoy it. So, with that said, when I hear the announcement of AKUMA vs. SHANG, I got hype for it. And result, honestly, I know people hate this episode, but to me, I actually kind of like it. For many reasons, to be fair, and I know people hate this episode, but it's my opinion. For starters, the both announcements for SHANG and AKUMA are freaking awesome, especially AKUMA's side. I'm glad that they measure up, especially the now the continuity of Street Fighter, and a few more, especially the crossover with others like Final Fight. And let's face it, the announcement for both AKUMA, like much like Ryu and Ryu vs. Scorpion, it was well done, especially when we get to a few more. And hey, they got the Alina friends with AKUMA, right? And I spoiled a few feats and turned out to be a much more humble master. But my major one? Oni. Oni is without doubt the most best character design of Street Fighter known to date. And I'm glad they managed to put in lore about it. And to be a little biased, I like to see Oni be in Death Battle ever since it appeared in One Man Melee. So I'm perfectly glad that Oni managed to get into the episode, even though it's just for a AKUMA episode, of course. And for Shao Kahn, despite some few issues I have with him, especially both the Melee and Nero era, I'm glad the analysis for him is pretty well done, especially combined with the video games for all the tropes, especially the Mortal Kombat theme. It's actually worth knowing that even combined with everything, especially the craziness of Mortal Kombat, I still enjoy it. Especially managed to fix a few little problems, especially with Shao Kahn's and Mortal Kombat debate with other gods. And to be honest, at least as much for convincing him versus Battle Week, yeah. I mean seriously, why make Shao Kahn the building level at best? Anyways, the anime subject for Wiz Boosted are pretty good, especially the Oreo one. But the most one is Shao Kahn one. Here, check it out.
Is that your best?
I thought it was funny.
You suck.
I just love that funny joke, especially Shao Kahn react to Bruce's puns. And to get to the obvious one on the way, I hear many people prefer AKUMA versus Rao from Fist of the North Star, and I can see why they want this as Shao Kahn. However, I'm not so familiar with Fist of the North Star, and I just thought an okay matchup. Interesting one, but not interesting, at least for me. So with that said, what about the animation? With the announcement pretty good. What about the animation? Is it good? Well, let's talk about it, shall we? The animation this time around is a S17 led by Dabanoid. Dabanoid is also part of S17 and it basically became the leader of it ever since Diamond Armors left for reasons. And also worth mentioning, this is actually the second time doing a hand-to-hand fight. Last time being, well, back over Spygren. And Dabanoid is nowhere the worst animator. I have seen many of his videos, especially ones mainly around anime themed characters. And while I don't think it's all bad, I actually think they're all pretty smooth, especially one of his current ones, current waifu Crusader, with a JoJo character for some reason. I thought it was alright, and much for want to blend, so I don't know why this episode doesn't use a blend much like Link vs. Cloud. And yeah, let's talk about the animation, and while the animation is not bad, it's not the top 10 best ones. Now don't get me wrong, the fight in my opinion definitely feels smoother, and I can see why that other YouTubers that step out like Biffweed and even Nemesis Wondering do not like this episode for their own personal reasons. But for the fight on its own, and especially the episode itself, I thought it was pretty good. It's far more fluid and definitely a much more impact. Though I will say this, the death wasn't that good, it's just mostly smashing at his head. But on that, I think the rest of the episode is pretty fine, even though despite some problems. But hey, at least got the cool shot of Raging Demon, and a little cool moment with only literally Shoryuken Shao Kahn. Another reminder, the voice actor for AKUMA is pretty good, but sadly, Shao Kahn's voice actor of this episode is not good, especially moments. To show you my example, here are the random clips I'm showing you about Shao Kahn's voice.
You will die, mortal. You're still trying to win. I am Shao. You suck.
Dare interrupt my tournament.
Now, I'm not saying I hate on this voice actor I never completely forgot, but even then, the voice actor here is pretty wrong, especially when you think about the other voice actor who played Shao Kahn in the games. You could tell that this performance wasn't great, and definitely isn't intimidating like the Shao Kahn in the games. And yeah, that's mostly about it. That's mostly the major issues with it. The rest of the fight was pretty good. Though I had to get out of the way, I've heard that this is the worst boring fight of the season, and I do hear a lot of people saying this is the worst episode. And to reply on those terms, to me, no, this is not the worst of SFMers. Yeah, admittedly, while this episode has problems, at least it does feel like a fluid fight. It worked with different abilities and a few more. And this is completely 100% better than the freaking fight against two girls who are similar to the main heroes, Batman and Spider-Man. That is completely jank and really bad in execution. Not to mention the really bad model for one of them. Batgirl! Here, while we had the same problems, at least I still enjoyed the episode. And I do like the MK11 Shao Kahn model. But comparing to this season with other GD fights, especially say Yoda versus Mickey, with the blending of pretty much a good animation from SM Team, same go with Clown versus Link with the blending animation. And yeah, that's pretty much it there. But I will give this is, in my opinion, much more better than Hitachi versus Geese. Just saying. So yeah, overall, my general thoughts about this episode, I thought it was pretty good. I just know people don't like it, and I can see why. But to me, I give it about 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad by any means, but I think I still enjoy it overall. I might change it, but in the end, I'm glad this is one of the episodes I managed to get in this season, and boy, I do enjoy it. Though I make bets, me at best, like MK viewers, like say Sonic, HD, XD, probably gonna review this. Same with Force Snake, even though he already hate that battle. Well, that's it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much my review of these episodes. Yeah, well, they're not as great as compared to other ones, but I still personally enjoyed them. Yeah, there's still bad ones, I'll give you that, but I still enjoyed these episodes to this day, and hopefully in future Street Fighter vs. Mortal Kombat episodes, I would enjoy them more. As long they continue making them good. Seriously, I want to see more good episodes of these. Speaking of episodes, I am worried about the next one, which is this episode, Korra vs. Storm. I don't really care much about this matchup, but I am very interested to see a good Avatar episode for once, besides Korra vs. Toph, to be honest. Yeah, I don't really care much, but hopefully this episode is good. I wonder what other reactors think about this matchup.
Sheldon? Yeah, wait, what?
No!